Hello and welcome to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950. I'm your host, Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
Before we introduce who our guest is today, Joe is going to remind us of our show's purpose.
Yeah, our show's purpose is to engage and connect people that are looking for service and service opportunities with great organizations and speakers and people that are involved in their communities and different organizations. We obviously are all Rotarians here. We think that Rotary is one of the best vehicles, if not the best vehicle for service, but there's many out there and we do interview many of them. So that's our mission.
Wonderful job. I love how you just kind of, go off the cuff there. It's really
I make
great.
it up every time.
It's wonderful. But at the end of the day, yes. So our guest today is Tammy Malmquist, and she is a fellow Rotarian out in Lake Elmo. And their mission is all about implementing, well, she has only implemented one so far, but it's the Peace Garden.
Mm-hmm.
And it was quite interesting to just see how that just really fast-tracked for them in that implementation and how it was received as well by the school.
Yeah, you'll enjoy learning how quickly the kids liked it and how it's growing.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Should we get into it?
Let's get into it. I'm your host, Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson. We'll be back.
Are you ready to make a difference in your community? Rotary is a great place to get involved in your community and meet passionate groups of people, as well as individuals dedicated to service and fellowship. At Rotary, we believe in the power of teamwork to bring positive change. As a member, you will have the opportunity to participate in exciting projects that address local and global challenges. From supporting educational initiatives to environmental conservation, we tackle it all. Joining a Rotary Club means becoming part of a diverse family of individuals who share a passion for giving back and having fun while making positive impact. With projects and events that enrich your community, there's something for everyone, from local initiatives to international collaborations. It doesn't matter what culture or country you come from. What matters is that you want to belong to a group that strengthens communities and creates lasting change. There's a place for everyone at Rotary, regardless of age or background. Learn more by searching for a Rotary Club in your community and visiting. Together, let's make a difference. Rotary, people of action.
Up your game and show off your Rotary Club spirit. Did you know there's a one-stop shop for all things Rotary apparel? Russell Hampton Company is the world's largest provider of licensed Rotary branded merchandise. From apparel like hats, jackets, and shirts to banners, tents, and awards, they have it all. And most things are customizable. And they can handle orders of all sizes. Russell Hampton Company also has deep connections to Rotary. In 1920, the company founder was part of Rotary Club No. 1 in downtown Chicago. Russell Hampton Company models their business on the Rotary 4-way test and gives back 10% of all purchases to Rotary, supporting its global work. So the next time you and your club are out on a service project, arrive with the right swag from Russell Hampton Company to promote your club and Rotary. Even non-Rotarians will want some of your cool hats, shirts, and jackets. Learn more at bestclubsupplies.com. That's bestclubsupplies.com.
Rotary is a place for all community-minded people who want to serve their areas with the support of an international organization. Join Rotary to find service. Join Rotary to find inclusion. Join Rotary to find leadership. Join Rotary to find fun. Join Rotary to find friendship. Join Rotary to find a better version of the world. Find a Rotary Club near you at rotary.org and click on Club Finder. There is a club out there for everyone. Find your fit with Rotary. Rotary.org.
Hello and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950. I'm your host, Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
And before we introduce our guest today, Chad's going to remind us of our show's sponsorship.
We want to thank Russell Hampton Companies for sponsoring the show. If you're watching online, you can see some of the swag they sent us. They're the #1 printer of Rotary gear. They can print anything from a cutting board you see here, or T-shirt, hat, or tumbler, or really anything. And whether it's your Rotary printing needs or other printing needs, check out russellhampton.com.
Thanks, Chad.
My pleasure.
He's
I've
gonna
always
appreciate
wanted.
that,
I've
too.
always wanted to know, like, what's the strangest thing they've ever printed on.
You'll be able to ask them.
There you go.
Well, we've got Tammy Malmquist in studio. Welcome, Tammy. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
So we first want to allow our listeners the opportunity to get to know you as our guest. And so my first question is, where do you live? Keep it simple.
I live in Lake Elmo
Okay. How long
Yep.
have you lived there?
since 1983.
Holy moly.
Yes.
And
So you've seen it grow a lot.
yeah, I was just going to say,
It was a cow path back then. There were no cars. We were in the outskirts for sure. Not anymore.
cowpath and wasn't it like soybeans fields or something of that nature?
There are still fields there, but
I was
yes.
just gonna say, I'm like, it is interesting. It's very much grown, but then you kind of go in certain lines, and it's like, oh, it's like nothing's
Yeah.
ever been here before.
Give it some time.
I had
Get a
3
little-
deer in the yard the other day, so we still have that going.
Yeah.
I'm right by the Lake Elmo Park Reserve.
Oh, nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
we
we've
have
got
we have
all
a
of that.
close friend that's right over in that neck of the woods too.
It's
So,
beautiful. I love it, but it's not what it used to be.
yeah. Do you miss the lesson?
It's lovely to have everything I need in Woodbury
Yeah.
or in Stillwater.
Yeah.
But the traffic, you know,
Yes. As somebody who lived in Woodbury, I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
And can completely testify to that. So
yes. But we love our community, so we're here for the long haul.
wonderful.
Everybody in Minneapolis is going the giant eye roll, like traffic,
Yeah.
Yes.
and then everybody.
Wait
in
till you
LA
hit that
is,
tunnel. on
Yeah, like,
Right.
394. Like, ooh.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all relative.
it is relative.
And go ahead, Chad.
When did you join Rotary?
So I am a founding member. So we were chartered in 2005 with the help of the Woodbury Club.
Wonderful.
So, and there are 3 charter members left.
Sorry, I didn't catch it. What year was it?
2005.
2005.
Yes.
God,
Okay.
you must have been what, 13, 14?
I know. And we have an anniversary coming next year. It'll be a 20-year anniversary. So, yeah, we
cool
were
is that?
all babies when we started this
Yeah.
club,
Just
for sure.
babies.
Yes.
How many
barely
did you
walking.
start with?
We chartered with 30.
Wow, that's a lot. To start.
Yeah, I wish we still had 30, but, you know, we're
So
small
little,
but mighty.
little smaller club now.
16.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
Where do you guys meet and what day? And
Oh, so that's a really good story. We meet at the Lake Elmo Inn because the
I
owner, John
love-
Schultz, is one of our charter members.
Nice.
Oh my God, that place is so good.
So
Their
good.
brunch, their little brunch buffet.
Everything is good.
Oh,
And John, the owner, comes in and makes us breakfast we meet on Wednesday mornings at 7 a.m.
So not to be critical here, how are you not growing if you have a location in which you could just go, hey, come have breakfast?
I
and
know.
Yeah.
We
enjoy-
use it for the ploy every time, but we gain a few and we lose a few,
Yeah.
just like all the other clubs. So
Yeah, it
we
seems to
hover
be.
between 15 and 20.
Okay. Gotcha.
Interesting.
And more interesting, our club is 80% women.
oh yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Now I see what. Just kidding.
That's really fascinating.
So
though.
fascinating. For the first time ever, we have an all-female board.
Cool.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, and I mean,
mighty.
what's interesting is you kind of buck the normal trend of what a Rotary Club has been perceived to be, and is
Absolutely.
Totally.
so. How do you use that as your benefit? Like, I mean, how can you use a platform like our show to showcase how great your guys' club is? 1, and 2, not to mention where it meets, and then 3,
Yeah.
Right?
the dynamics of it are atypical of what you see in a normal club. I mean, that seems like all the ingredients are there.
Yeah.
Typically, our visitors that come to visit and check us out are female. And I think it's just because the women that belong
Yeah.
are networking
Yeah,
mostly
Yeah.
with other women.
Yeah.
But we do have a couple of new businesses going in. So a couple of those, we have a brand new restaurant, Marma, and those owners came to visit. And so, it's just that constant recruitment thing that
Yeah.
we're all in. The food itself is enough of a reason.
Jeez.
And we
I'd say so.
actually just last July 1st started doing one meeting a month is an evening social. And the goal with that was to try and invite potential members to a more casual. 7 a.m. is not everyone's bag. Like a lot of people don't want that kind of commitment.
Yeah. Well, you're talking to 3 other people here
Morning
who
club.
meet at 7:30 in the morning, and so it's. I mean,
But
we're all in good company
you're right.
here,
But you're right. And well, I mean, we just had a guest on that during COVID that they created like a different type of
That's
membership.
Stillwater.
Stillwater, where they just created a different type of membership where, hey, show up for service projects, great, and then you can show
The
up for a
cost.
couple of the meetings, great, and the cost will be less.
Yep.
Maybe something to consider for your club, because that just kind of baffles my mind why the
They might
club
start
would.
poaching. That's the city next door.
Well,
I'm
Trust
kidding.
me, they come to visit and they're always like, oh, the food is so much better here. We're like, it's just a block away. Come on over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
It is.
And I don't think we mentioned this. You are the club president right now.
We didn't.
I am the club president for the 2nd year in a row.
Oh,
For the
two-term.
3rd time.
Wow.
Wow.
So-
Well, I suppose with 15 members, it kind of comes around real quick.
So having done it many years ago when, the room is silent and somebody has to step up, I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do it again. And then, 6 months in, nobody's stepping up
Yeah.
to be the president-elect. But I had a president-elect.
Okay.
She was just waiting. She has 4 daughters, wanted the last one to graduate. She's like, I can't do it yet, but I'll do it,
Yeah.
so starting in July. So we all looked around the table at a board meeting and said, okay, if you stay and you stay, I'll stay if everyone will stay.
Yeah.
So that's how you get to do it for 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Well, at least you know what you're doing.
Well, and I mean, I think most first-year presidents will say it takes you a year to kind of figure out what you're doing and, where you can kind of plug the holes. And so I didn't need that. I already did that. But it's been, I mean, it just becomes a well-oiled machine.
Yeah. The longer
So,
you do it, the
yep.
more.
Well, we talked about this with the last time that Tom was on the show is, one of the beauties of Rotary is that, you get new lifeblood every single year because when you do it year over year, I mean, it's hard to keep that energy up.
Yes.
I mean, it's just a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. I am looking forward to July 1st. I'm not going to lie. But it's been good. I mean, we call ourselves small but mighty. I mean, when there's only so many members, everyone's got to pitch in.
Yeah.
Nobody gets to duck and run. We need everybody's hands on deck. So
That brings up a question on my end. What are, because if you've got a small group like that, how do you keep your members engaged so that you don't see people falling through the cracks?
So we are a very busy service club. We
Okay.
do 2 blood drives a year.
Okay.
We do 2 highway cleanups a year. We do a Big Bucks Bingo fundraiser at the Lake Elmo Event Center. We do our monthly social. What else do? We do the Kindness Rock Garden painting that we'll get to.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
We do, decades ago, a little tiny, like 12-kid parade started on Lake Elmo Avenue, and it's grown into like 1,500 people.
Yeah.
It's just for kids. They decorate their bikes and their trikes and their four-wheelers. The only adults are the ones walking with their children. And then we serve ice cream for free after the parade.
Sure.
We also have a table at National Night Out. So we are busy often enough that our members can, dabble and do things when it works for them. But honestly, most of us have been there long term. And so we love the service stuff. So that's not usually a problem. We keep them engaged because, it's pretty. Oh, and we also drive golf carts at the Washington County Fair. So we help people get to and from their cars. And that's just so much fun. I mean,
I bet you meet some interesting
Oh,
people.
yes.
I mean, that's so much stuff. Do you think that it's a little bit like a small business where you're so busy working in the business that you don't have time to work on the business? So like, you guys are just so busy and everybody's engaged in leadership and in the club or on committees that you don't have time to turn around and go, I'm going to spend the majority of my service this year and just get membership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just, and just invite people in. I mean, I'm just thinking through that and going, God, 15 people do that?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, and we always have struggled with that membership person that's just going to dedicate the time. We struggle
Okay.
with a PR person.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
always. Every club struggles
every
with PR.
club.
Yeah.
And we
Rotary
don't
does.
Rotary struggles with
have
PR.
a Lake Elmo paper, so
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
yeah, there's a Stillwater paper and the Pioneer Press, but we don't have our own little thing.
Sure.
So we just look at it like it's everybody's job to work on
Yeah.
membership.
Yeah.
It's everyone's job to get a speaker.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
one person shouldn't be stuck with that job either. So,
yeah.
we just
good point.
somebody manages to step up,
Yeah. Somebody says yes.
does it, right?
Yeah.
It just
work
from the
together.
sounds of it, it sounds like your club is 15 people waiting to be 150.
We are.
I mean, it really is. Like,
We are.
it sounds like all the fundamentals that you look for in a very healthy club are all there, and it's just like, what's that thing? Maybe it's being on the show.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What's
All the new development there too. I think
Right.
you have a younger demographic in
Yes.
the
Yeah.
area that's
And the-
changed significantly.
and the
too.
younger
yes.
demographic is proving to be a little bit more challenging depending on what season of
Yes.
life they're in, right?
Yes.
I mean, Joe and I, like, we were just talking about this, I think, on with our last recording about how we definitely fit that mold of somebody who's in a specific season of life that's the reason they're not joining Rotary. They're
Yeah.
busy. They've got athletics for kids. They've got young ones, whatever it looks like. And we've kind of bucked it, but
Yeah,
otherwise
we're trying to model the behavior
Right.
for other people. Yeah.
right.
I mean, because I run a business, you run a business.
Yeah.
We have 3 kids. We have all the things, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that everybody uses as an excuse, and yet we both are showing up at Rotary. We both are we're dedicating time
Yeah.
to a podcast and serving, and just showing people that if it's important to you, that prioritizing is the way to go.
I think everybody sitting around this table right now can attest to the fulfillment that you
Yeah.
feel being a part of a Rotary club that is just pushing for greatness, and then that greatness is a part of a greater good.
Yeah.
And so for any of you listening right now who are falling into that bucket of a different season of life, what are the different things that you can do to manage around that time to get, a little bit of Rotary time in?
Well, and an interesting thing
It's
too, really quick, just to comment on that is how many parents of kids are like burning out, and it's because they're not filling the cup up with anything else, right? Like other
Right.
than the kids are just like
Right.
taking all of the energy, and you go, there's no doubt the reason why we don't burn out is Rotary.
Right.
Rotary's one of them, and we really try to do a good job of balancing that. And do you have, like, what proportion of your club is under the age of 40?
I would say 25%.
Okay, so you do have some.
Okay.
We are our most recent people that have joined, which is probably within the last year and a half, younger, not married yet, but in that late 20s, early 30s, and very engaged, very, very engaged. Kind of grew up in a service-oriented family,
Yeah.
and he is working his buddies constantly.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
going to be huge catalysts for
Yes.
new membership. Yeah.
Definitely. And that was the goal of having the one evening meeting. It's like if you could make one morning meeting a month
Yeah.
and come to the evening meeting, and that's significant others and families, like everyone's included. You've met 50%. We're good with that. Show up
Yeah.
to serve ice cream. Come help us clean the highway.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
This will work for everyone. So, yeah.
Well, and it's interesting. So maybe talk a little bit more about that. Did you guys used to take attendance? Did you used to have more stringent
Yes.
rules? And it's interesting, like as it's become more difficult to hold members because just membership organizations across the board are having trouble with that. That's a funny adaptation that started to take hold, is to just be more flexible.
Yes.
And it sounds like you guys are being very proactive about being flexible. The evening meeting, we're not just show up for half the meetings, because I do think that some measure of your commitment is good, because otherwise, what's the advantage of showing up none versus all versus, I think that there's some good accountability to that. And I could see that popping back around when your club explodes with growth.
Yeah.
Next week.
There you go.
Next week, right?
There you go. I like it.
Well, we got to ask about the kindness garden, and
Yes.
before we even get first, what is it? But then I would like to hear how you came up with it and the evolution of it.
So to date, we've only done one. We're about to do our second one. It's at Lake Elmo Elementary, which is the only elementary school that we have in our area. And what we did is we have a place called Hedberg Design Landscaping, and they're owned by Site One. And I just went there and asked if they had rocks that they could donate to us. And they were more than happy to do that. So we got Mexican beach pebbles, because they're these perfect size, very flat rocks. And they're, all kind of different sizes, but the perfect size to put a message on. And, then we had to clean them all. So that was 1,000 rocks. But
Did you get a
fortunately,
power washer?
I own a childcare, and kids love water play. So we washed all the rocks, all the rocks. And they loved it because they're like, oh, look at the shape of this one. And feel how smooth this one. Oh, this one's bumpy. Like, it was a blast. So we got all the rocks cleaned.
That's awesome. Child labor.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like, but water play. What's not to love about water play? So, and, we had great conversation. Lots of new words evolved around the rocks. And then we took them to the school and quickly discovered that kids wanted to paint the whole rock. Well, now we have to wait for that little paint to dry before you can put the message on. So we've learned now we pre-paint a lot of the rocks. Some kids like the gray background, but a lot of the kids really just wanted a bam.
It's like the bright colors.
Yes. Yes.
Glamtastic.
Yep. And so I found these wonderful paint markers on Amazon. We also found a book that we bought and put in each classroom called What Does Kindness Look Like? And it was a very simplistic look at that kids could understand. Like, what does kindness look like? It looks like telling someone you like their shirt. It looks like sitting with the new kid at lunch. It's such relatable, really just simple,
I like that.
Simple stuff. So the teachers, before we came, the teachers read the book to all their students, and then they put up on their, they've got all the video boards now in the classrooms. They put up examples of the rocks, and 8 of us Rotarians went in and took one classroom at a time. And we explained that we were looking for anything that they could paint that would put a smile on their face, would put a smile on someone else's face. So while the kids were painting, we were able to work the room and just say, oh, what is this? Like, one little guy painted a police badge because his dad is a police officer. Another child painted a football just because he loves football. And he's like, do you think this will make people smile? And I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it was everywhere. And when you walked around and looked at what they were doing, each rock was cool. But when you put them all together, it's amazing. It's just amazing. So we hauled all the rocks out after they were painted because they all had to be sealed.
Okay.
So then we had a little clean up the highway night and then sealed all the rocks after that. Then we had to haul them all back. However, the coolest part was we had this lovely lady named Janice Lickness at the school, and she coordinated all of it. And the morning that we placed the rocks, she had found a high school student who had a drone camera, and she went out in the school parking lot and spelled out big bubble letters, L, and then a heart, and then a V and an E, and the entire school went out and stood in those letters, and then they took drone pictures from up above. So cool.
That's really
and then
neat.
One at a time, the teachers we were there for 3 hours with all the sealed rocks. And one at a time, the teachers came out, they found their rocks, and they placed them in this area right outside the front door.
Wow.
So we learned a lot. We're going to do it all in one day now. No more hauling rocks.
Yeah.
We're going to go in. You're going to paint. We're going to take them right outside. We're going to seal them, and you're going to put them in the garden that day. We're done.
Yeah.
Rocks are heavy.
Yeah.
We hauled 1,000 rocks in and out of that school 3
Holy
times.
cow.
So it's like, one and done.
Yeah.
So
You
that's
figured out
kind of
the
how
logistics.
Yes. And we figured out they dry really fast with these paint markers. So
Sure.
if you just give them 20 minutes, you can seal them, and now we're done.
Great.
So we're tackling Stillwater Middle School in the middle of May. Janice moved to that school, so she's coordinating for us
nice.
again during their pony time, which is like a little free time they have at lunch. So, messages will be very different because these kids are obviously much older. We started with the kindergarten classrooms. And you can imagine, there were no words involved, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a mom or a dad. And then, we worked our way up, and there's a Spanish immersion program at Lake Elmo Elementary. So we really encourage those kids to put some Spanish messages. So we've got just this great, assortment of kind of rocks. Funny story, though. And we said positive things. What can you say that's, what would make you smile? And this little girl just kept thinking, and it's like, okay, now we got 12 minutes and your time is up. You have to get to the library. And finally she looked at one of us and said, so do you think I could write like, you're not fat, you're just perfect? We're like, of course you can write that. Like, so some of the kids just instantly knew exactly what, it's a rainbow and it's going to get done right now. And other kids really, really put their heart and soul into thinking about what can I do that's meaningful?
That's the thoughtfulness.
And how can spreading the kindness hurt, right? Even if they forgot about it.
Yeah.
Every time they walk in and out of the school, there they are. Even if they only look at it, once a year. So fast forward, that got done in May. 4th of July, we have that kids parade, and we set up the kindness rock painting. And the goal was that you just take the rock and leave it at a neighbor's or put it somewhere, leave it in a public restroom. Somebody will find, just put it wherever. So, we've got kids coming, and they're all in their red, white, and blue clothes. And a mom comes up, and she's like, oh, my gosh, have you seen the rock garden at the school? We're like, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So she's like, wait, are you guys there? We're like, yes. She's like, oh, my God, I love, 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 love that. So the goal is that it becomes known in the St. Croix Valley is our goal to begin with, that this is such an easy visual way to just take that moment and appreciate life.
I want to share something with you.
Okay.
Can't wait.
I initially, when I saw that you were coming on to speak about the kindness garden, I thought that you guys had done something actually out in the Minnetonka School District. Here's why I bring that up. I used to work out there at an elementary school called Scenic Heights. And the shape of the building, they had like a little, like a center garden, if you will. And what courtyard, thank you. Words are hard right now, apparently. But what they had done is they put a bunch of sand out there, and then they mapped out the shape of a butterfly as a path. And there were rocks. And there were messages on the rocks.
Cool.
And so maybe an idea would be something like that too, where you could, maybe as you think about like as it continues to grow,
right?
Maybe scaling, like you could do paths and like those rocks, like it's an opportunity to just like do a peaceful stroll through this path. I had been working one-on-one with a child with autism, and I can't tell you how much we ended up in that garden to help calm him down.
Yes.
And he would read the messages, or we would just stop and pause and reflect. And it truly, truly helped him.
Yes. Yes.
I'm getting like
Yep.
little butterflies right now. It's just so cute.
One of the things that our city is currently working on is, with all the growth, and we've been around a long time, but maybe things haven't been maintained like most cities, right? So we have this park called Lions Park, which is right in the middle of downtown, and that's where the parade ends up, and that's life in Lake Elmo. So the city is looking at revamping that, and one of the things we want to do is include a kindness rock garden there that people, all residents, could continue to add to. There's a kindness rock garden in Anoka that is unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's huge. Like, they have huge boulders.
Yeah.
They do painting classes in their building. So, like, we're in the go big or go home mentality with what we can do with this.
That's so cool.
For sure. Yes. And it's, I mean, aside from the rocks and the weight and lugging the rocks, I mean, it's so inexpensive. It's paint markers.
Yeah.
And it's your time.
What I thought of is you got those donated, right? You got those rocks donated, but if any other just, run-of-the-mill consumer was to come up and be like, hey, can you donate some rocks? They'd be like, not even a shot.
Right.
They were going to do that for
you. So, interesting.
Figured out how I'm going to landscape my yard.
I know.
So now it's time to do round 2, and we're like,
will they do it again?
Do we go back to the well, or do we, and I mean, a lot of us have just started picking up rocks at cabins, and, I mean, there's rocks everywhere. So we're all collecting rocks. But I'm like, no asky, no getty. So I'm just going to go for it. So the gal that I was working with there is no longer there. So they send me to this other gentleman, and I start explaining, and he's like, oh, what a great idea. How many rocks do you need? I'm like, well, I need 2,000 this year. And he's like, okay. Send me a donation letter. And okay.
Yeah.
Put a little sign out there that says rocks
we did put
donated
a sign.
by.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have a sign saying Lake Elmo Elementary Kindness Garden, established 2023, sponsored by Hedberg Design and Lake Elmo Rotary.
Wonderful.
So
nice.
they're kind of expensive rocks, but they're so perfect. They're just perfect.
Yeah.
So
That's so cool.
So nobody else ask him. He's kind of, he's my guy.
He's my guy. He's your go-to guy.
Yeah.
Should recruit a member out of there for the
Well, trust
no
me.
kidding.
It's like, we're right down the road. So it's been, and
then I won't feel bad shaking you down every year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, it's it's just so simple to do things with kids, and the comments they make, and it was just like I walked into one classroom, and it was a 5th grade classroom, and it's spring, so what the kids are starting to behave like, right?
Yeah.
Things are getting a little squirrely, and this teacher, I mean, you could just tell they were making her work for it. And she's like, I'm so glad you're here. I was just discussing that this classroom doesn't feel very kind. And I'm like, oh, okay, let me step right into this. And I just said, wow, kids, your teacher looks a little unhappy. And truly, at my childcare, we have a mantra that we are trying to fill buckets. There's a book called How Full Is Your Bucket? And it talks about your bucket is your soul, right? And if your soul is empty, you're crabby and you don't want anyone else to be happy. So, but if you fill someone else's bucket, it fills your bucket. So that's the terminology we use at Wonder Years, my childcare. And it's as simple as they're playing and you can hear the battle starting, and it's just like, sounds like somebody's bucket is getting empty. What should we do about that? And, then they work it out. So I walked in and I started telling these 5th graders, this is what I do with my 2- and 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
Take a look at your teacher. How does her bucket look right now? What are we going to do about that? And they're like, oh, okay, we're going to paint rocks. And she sat down, she painted a rock. It's like she just needed her own woosah at that moment in time. And she's like, thank you so much. Done.
Woman. Poor woman.
Yeah.
Those teachers work
especially
for their money.
In May.
They sure do.
Oh,
yeah.
May is. Now, I get them for the summer, so August is my month. Where
Yeah.
they're getting a little spoiled. Yep, time to go back.
Oh,
Yes.
God bless all of you guys as educators. I swear you deserve so much more money. You really do.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, I was just
sure
going to say, I'm like,
is. Yeah.
Whole nother
not touching that third rail.
No, we're not.
Dove into
Nope.
a little bit on the preschool
No,
today.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have we had talked off air. You're hoping that this grows into a district
Yes.
initiative. Have you seen others start to ask you about it, or have you kind of gone to other clubs and talked to
Yes.
about it?
So we have gone to other clubs, and we just had our fourth meeting of the month, social, last night, and the 7 members from the Woodbury Club joined us. If you're not familiar, they have built the Field of Dreams there, which is a baseball field for children that have disabilities. And so they're talking about incorporating a kindness rock garden there at that area. They're about to take on a big remodel there and added some shaded areas because it's just, the parents are out there baking. It's just a little too much. So they're talking about how they can incorporate that and have the kids, when they come to play baseball, paint their own rocks and create their own kindness garden. So,
well, I think it's a really wonderful model, right? I mean, it kind of hits all buckets. It's very tactile. So like, you know, kids feel involved and then forces them to think. And then there's a legacy piece to it where it's out in a garden and, you know, you're not heartbroken if one of them disappears because somebody takes one because they need that, or it ends up somewhere else, and you can always do more.
Exactly.
You can always refill the garden if the garden gets a little sparse. And I think it's a really nice model for just kindness. Like I was thinking about it, I'm like, hey, how about the corner of our over down by the street sign in the well, we're looking to do like a neighborhood party, and I'm like, that'd be kind of a fun theme for a neighborhood party. Everybody write a kindness stone.
Perfect.
And then when you walk by it, you kind of go, that's right, we live in a great neighborhood.
That's right. Yep.
Inspiring.
Don't rob my house.
I know.
Well, that's the goal, is that we could just, there's enough negativity. It's everywhere. So let's just go the opposite direction of that.
I used to have a teacher that used to write a B+ on everybody's. It was B positive.
Wow.
Nice.
And so everybody would be like, no, did you get it? You got a B+? I got a B+. Yeah, guys, read it again. B positive. Oh, clever.
Yeah, super clever.
Well, and when we walked around the classrooms at Lake Elmo Elementary, trying to get them to understand, you know, what we were going to do, it's like, when you're not at this school anymore and you go to the middle school and then you go to the high school and you drive by, your rock's still going to be out there. Like this will be here forever. You can bring your children to see the rock you painted when you were in 3rd grade.
Sustainability.
Yes.
Checks the box.
Sure does.
Will you have to change how you deliver the approach when you go into the middle schools? You know, book? Or, no, I'm sure you've thought about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So obviously we're not doing a book. Instead, they're going to have some slideshows showing examples. Interestingly, I have a 12-year-old grandson who goes to the other middle school, and he's like, oh, Grammy, there's going to be some stuff you don't want to see on some of those rocks. And I'm like, no, Hunter, that's not going to. He goes, I'm telling you. So
things are changing in those brains and bodies.
Oh, yes. Yes. So the good news is they're going to be at tables with us because they're going to do it opposite their lunch hour. So they're going to come to these tables before they go into the lunchroom. And, you know, we're going to have the same message. You know, this is your chance to put a smile on someone's face. And if we find a rock that's inappropriate, we're just going to put our own message on it.
Yeah.
Just cover that one right up. So I think it'll definitely be interesting to see how it works. I kind of feel like, I think we all felt like middle school was not the easiest time in our lives. So I think, okay, we're going to do the middle schools, and then we're going to go to the high school. And again, we only have one school. We have Oakland Middle School that's in Lake Elmo, and then we have the elementary school. But the other middle school and the high school are in Stillwater.
Stillwater, yeah.
So again, Lake Elmo doesn't have those kinds of things. So I think if we can get through the middle school, the high school will be a cakewalk.
Yeah.
Because they're like kind of nice again a little bit compared to, I mean, middle school is just challenging. Yeah. It's just a very difficult 3 years. Yeah. So we're hoping this will help.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, you'll have to report back and let us know how it goes.
Yes, that will.
Do you have the picture you're talking about, the overhead?
Yes, we do. I do have all of those.
Will you share it with me so I can put it in the description so people can see it?
Definitely.
cool thing to see.
Yeah.
It's a really cool picture. Like, we were just like, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
so awesome. Because that was all Janice is doing. We hadn't even thought of that. So, yeah, and I've got several pictures of the finished garden, so I can share those as well.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
And there's a
put 'em in
website too, right? Or is there a website?
We have our website, and I'm not sure how many of those pictures are on it, but
Okay.
we actually just started a new website. So I know.
Doing a little revamp.
We're not even sure if the link works, but
Yeah.
Well, the link works, and it's not me. I have people that do that. That's not my forte. But yes, we're still uploading all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
fun fact for all you listeners out there. Did you know that we actually say forte incorrectly? That grammatically it's fort. Like, so when it's something that's your strength, it's your fort and not forte. We screw it up as Americans, of course, right? Like,
Yeah.
So fun fact for everybody.
Figure.
But you
Yeah.
know what's funny is that we just say forte because everybody knows what the heck we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, as we what were we gonna say?
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say as we start to wrap up here, part of the reason we have guests on this show is to just bring enlightenment to service opportunities for service. For our listeners out there, what's a piece of advice that you would give them if they're seeking an opportunity for service?
Join your club.
Other than
Join the club.
Yeah.
the obvious.
I of all the things we do, I think the Kindness Rock Garden is just far and above everything we do. I mean, you can't diminish, the importance of a blood drive and cleaning the highway.
Yeah.
But the ability, the ripple effect of the Kindness Garden, I mean, we'll never know the true ripple effect.
Right.
We'll just never know who walked by that garden on any given day and just needed that one message that they happened to notice. So that, I mean, if you're going to do anything, leave a kindness message somewhere for someone. Anywhere. It
It's
doesn't matter
simple.
where you leave it.
Yeah.
Just
It's simple.
spread the good word instead of negative things or instead of doing nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got a rock somewhere they can find. Throw a little paint on it and leave it somewhere.
Yeah.
Interesting. It was a tough day when they took away VHS tapes, and that was my ability to be kind because I rewind.
I am
Speechless?
speechless.
I hope you survive.
Wow. Any
I'll be here all week.
yeah.
Make sure to tip your waitresses and
oh my gosh, I can
Enjoy the
see
meal.
our producer just giggling right now. He's like, "Wow, there's
Who
never a
is this
shortage
guy?"
of nonsense on this show, or on the outtakes, I suppose too." So, any final thoughts?
yeah. Any parting words?
Parting words would be that we have the best food in the district.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for an opportunity, free breakfast is yours. Just waiting first, second, or third Wednesday of the month.
Well, we'll be sure to make sure that Dale is spreading the good word about this episode with clubs that she's visiting or whatever it is that she's doing right now.
And
so.
we will have a table at the Celebration of Clubs.
Okay.
In the House of Friendship, we'll have a rock painting table so people will be able to paint their own rock.
Nice.
And that should be a good reminder that
Good.
all clubs could be doing this.
Yeah, that's a good little plug right there,
Yes,
Tammy.
yes, that'll be good.
Thanks for that. All right. Anything else?
I think we're good.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
It was really great having you on.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for spreading the
coming.
word about kindness and the Kindness Garden. And cheers to the growing membership in your club.
Yes.
And for only a couple months left.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the last board meeting is in someone's backyard at their pool.
There you go.
Last board meeting. I'm like, we're going to have a good board meeting.
Yeah.
June, whatever that date is. Yes.
That's wonderful.
I'm ready to pass the baton.
I
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Tammy.
Oh,
An
thank
honor
you
to
for
have
having
you
me.
on, and we look forward to circling back to you and seeing how everything is evolving with Kindness Garden.
Perfect.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson. We'll be back.
Show off your Rotary Club spirit with Russell Hampton Company. They're the world's largest provider of licensed Rotary items. They make everything like hats, jackets, shirts, banners, and more. Russell Hampton Company is a fourth-generation family-owned and operated business founded in 1920 by a member of the first-ever Rotary Club in Chicago, Club Number 1. When you call Russell Hampton Company, you get more than just a company, you get a fellow Rotarian-owned business who's there to help. No matter if you're ordering for your entire club or just yourself, no order is too big or too small. Not sure what your club needs? Their team members can help and customize just about anything. They live by the Rotary 4-way test. They also give 10% of all purchases back to Rotary to support Rotary's global work. So remember, Russell Hampton Company is your one-stop shop for all things Rotary. Learn more at bestclubsupplies.com. That's bestclubsupplies.com. Russell Hampton Company, Rotarians serving Rotarians.
For decades, eradicating polio worldwide has been Rotary's cornerstone cause. We are incredibly close to ridding the globe of this virus, but we need everyone's help to get us to the goal. World Polio Day is October 24th. Please consider making a new donation to Polio Plus or increasing your already generous giving. Go to endpolio.org to be a part of this historical eradication of polio. You will help get vaccinations to the most remote parts of our world and help fulfill a promise we made to end polio now. 2 drops and it stops.
Of the things we think, say, or do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Join Rotary to serve your community and the world with honesty, fairness, and goodwill. Our 4-way test guides our actions every day. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? These values underpin our commitment to making a positive impact on the world. Learn more about your local Rotary Club and stop searching and start serving. And the song you're hearing now was performed by Rotary Club of Dar es Salaam, Oyster Bay.
Hello and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950. I'm your host, Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
That was a really fascinating service project that Tammy put on with the Kindness Garden.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty cool to hear how much of an impact it had right away on the elementary school kids. I would have thought would take more reiterations to have buy-in from a school and everything to have what she talked about from an impact.
Yeah, it just shows you the small projects have the most impact sometimes. Like we get so enamored with the large projects that Rotary does or other organizations do. And sometimes it's as simple as a rock garden that, really is symbolizing, joy, happiness, and peace.
Yeah.
And that's all that people need for that moment.
The domino effect too that it has created. I mean, even down to how they obtained the rocks to the implementation. I mean, and everything in between, right? We won't go into the fine details of that, but
yeah, they just listened to the episode.
I'm interested to hear when get an update how it goes at the middle school, because you got to imagine going from elementary school kids to middle school kids, you're getting
I'd imagine what I'd be doing.
different messages and different although maybe not. I would have thought you'd have some of that at elementary school at times too.
I mean, Tammy seemed to think that it was going to be more impactful than many people might even imagine.
I think she said her one of the grandkid or her nephew said you're gonna have some troubles over at the middle school, but I bet that worked out.
Maybe impactful in one way or another.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't let a few bad apples spoil the bunch.
Joe's speaking from experience.
Yeah.
I think I'd be happy in middle school because I don't think we had art class then.
Oh yeah.
I think we were done with art class by elementary school.
Oh my gosh, funny. I didn't even
think about that.
No. And
I get to go do some art. Better than the regular day.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? I also, one thing that was not related to the Kindness Garden was that their club is 75% women. I thought that was a pretty, I don't think we've ran into any club or
Yeah.
or heard of anything like that in Rotary.
Yeah, so if you're out in the East Metro and you're looking for service of any kind and, interested in having a really good breakfast out
Yeah.
at Lake Elmo Inn, if you haven't been there, it's really,
Yeah, it
really
is.
quite delicious. That's a great opportunity for you to get plugged in and involved.
Yeah.
It's interesting too. So something that I immediately started to think through was, you know, we talk about how Rotary is male dominant, or could, it's working away from that, but it has been male
Traditionally.
dominant
Mhm.
traditionally. Is if they're running into a similar issue on the other side and going, are we so female dominant that we're not very inviting for men? And if there's something on the other side of that where they're running into that in their club, we didn't get
Hmm.
a chance to talk about that. If there's anything, and sometimes it's just lack of perspective. Sometimes, right? Like you just have too much of one voice in the room. It doesn't matter what that voice looks like, right? It could be anything. But if
And I think probably a big part of what out there, the city of Lake Elmo doesn't have a ton of bigger businesses. It's more of
Right.
a,
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
residential, and there's a small downtown, but
Mhm.
it's growing, but it's because it was now growing, you don't have a lot of the business that every most suburbs have, and that might be
That's
Yeah.
part of it
interesting.
too.
Yeah, that's an
Yeah,
interesting
I mean, I
takeaway.
think of proximity there. You're looking at, 3M isn't too far up the road.
No,
So it's kind of like, well, you could, but depending on where people are coming from. And then otherwise you're maybe generating from Stillwater region.
which
And
they
if
have a
there's,
couple.
if there's a, yeah.
There's,
So,
But it's interesting. To your point, I think you might be onto something there, and that's what's really driving their service work.
yeah,
A little bit more smaller project, community driven. It's not
mhm,
business driven. It's not bigger project. It's not, and there is a real place for all of that. And it sounds like the impact of that has been huge.
mhm.
And hopefully that, that becomes a district
yeah. No, that's the
project.
goal, is to
That's
go
the,
district wide with
I
it.
think that's a wonderful one, because that's one that it feels like everybody can do. Like that every club could do that. It's not going to take a lot of dollars,
Mhm.
and everybody's got a school or something that they could support and put it. And so you kind of go, that's that seems like a low hanging fruit we should all be focusing on, instead of always focusing on the big projects. Because I do think that we do sometimes get a little bit sideways on more is more and not better is more.
I also wonder. I mean, it was first year. This is the second year that we were talking to her about what will be. And I know we're trying to focus on the service aspect, but I got to imagine that'll be a good recruiting tool to get people engaged with your club, because you're
Mhm.
reaching a different audience than the business community, but still people, everybody takes their kids to school. And you
Right.
start to see that. I would guess over time, as they continue to do that, you're going to see membership grow from that project.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just kind of how the world of service works,
Yeah.
right? It's spreading the word in more ways than one. I mean, this is just one of the vehicles that we're using to spread the word, but another one is just kind of that, it's like that slow burn, right?
Yeah.
So that could be an opportunity in way of slow burning to gain new membership.
When we forget about, in a club of, I think they said 16, 20, something like that, right?
Yeah. Something.
So, 4 new members is huge,
Yeah.
monumental. Like 4 new members would change the entire complexity of that club, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
20% growth.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
and you think about, I think about sometimes that we get kind of locked into the numbers, right? And more again, oh, we need 30 new members. Well, even if you had 3 new members, it would have impact.
Yeah.
And it would lighten the load of all the roles that they all play, because I'm sure that they all hold a role within the
Tammy doesn't have to be president 2 years in a row.
Yeah, right, exactly. And
She's like, I'm gladly taking this baton, but it would be nice to pass it.
When you're hearing this, she'll be just passing it. She'll
Yes,
be good for
very
her.
true.
but great guests,
Yeah.
Mhm.
great project, and I loved hearing about the club and their unique dynamics. That was
Yeah.
really,
Absolutely.
really cool, and I wish them luck in the future. And
We
I
always
can't wait.
love in studio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in studio. Yeah.
I know, it always is nice. It'll be interesting to have her on at some point again and hear more about that progression as well. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm your host, Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
It's time to stop searching
and start serving.
We'll see you next week.